Welcome to On the Vineyard. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov, the publisher of the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. Thank you for joining us. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. It might not be 60-degree weather or even 50-degree weather, but the daffodils are blooming and the lambs are lambing. That's what you call it when a ewe gives birth to a lamb. On Wednesday, Allen Farm's first lamb of the season was born. It turns out newborn lambs are quiet, so what you're hearing is lambs from last year at Allen Farm. Coming up, it's town meeting time. 3 town meetings are this week, and Gwen Skiles gives us a preview of the pressing issues in Edgartown.
Perhaps the most contentious issue on the ballot will be the leaf blowers. This issue was first raised in Edgartown, and while it appears on multiple island towns' warrants, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion regarding this one.
Town meeting is the New England tradition of gathering local townspeople to vote on the upcoming administration of the town. Voters have a say in everything from how funds are spent to whether or not to ban leaf blowers, a controversial issue discussed in last week's podcast. The past few weeks, the paper has featured all the warrants from 3 towns holding town meetings on Tuesday, April 8th: Edgartown, Oak Bluffs, and West Tisbury. The Vineyard Gazette prints every warrant as a public service, so you can read all of them by buying a newspaper. Here's just one example from the Oak Bluffs warrant, Article 38. To see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $10,000 to fund the acquisition of a boat trailer for the Shellfish Department or take any other action relative thereto. That's the sound of the historic press in the Vineyard Gazette offices in Edgartown printing the paper. And that means it's time to go up to the newsroom to check in with Bill Evell, the editor-in-chief, and the reporters on this week's news. Bill, what's going on this week?
Hi, Monica. Get ready. It's town meeting week, which begins on Tuesday, April 8th in 3 towns, West Tisbury, Edgartown, and Oak Bluffs. Turning now to reporter Katrina Liu, who covers West Tisbury for the Gazette. We're going to her first because that town meeting starts first at 5:55 p.m. on Tuesday, right?
Yes, so at 5:55, there will be a really quick special town meeting. But then at 6, that's when the 60-plus article warrant begins.
Yes, and it's going to be held at the West Tisbury School, and as per usual, they have childcare, I hear.
Yes, they do, and childcare will be provided starting at 5:45 at the school as well by the West Tisbury Library.
I have used that in the past when my kids were small, so it's a really good idea for the town to do that. So what should voters expect?
Yeah, so there are 3 questions that are on the ballot and will be discussed on Tuesday evening. One of them is the general override that Town Administrator Jen Rand accredited to increases in positions with the town, so that will be a $1.6 million override. And then there are 2 other interesting articles and ballot questions that involve the school. So the Up Island Regional School District is asking the town for 2 things. One is $700,000 for a feasibility study with the West Tisbury School. The other is a $200,000 study situation that leads to capital repairs, which means HVAC with the West Tisbury School and also taking down the bell tower at the Chilmark School. So those are 2 big articles that involve the school district.
As with the other towns voting on Tuesday, there is a proposed leaf-blowing ban on the docket. And in West Tisbury in particular, they will be looking at maybe a committee formed around the mill pond.
Yes, after the already existing Town Watershed Committee released its findings recently, there is a citizens petition being put out by the Historic District Commission to have a town committee to purely focus on Mill Pond.
All right, thanks. Remember, everybody, it's Tuesday, April 8th, starts at 5:55 for the special town meeting, and then 6 o'clock for the annual town meeting. Thank you, Katrina.
Thanks.
Turning now to Gwen Skiles, who covers Edgartown. The town meeting will be held at the Old Whaling Church with Steve Ewing, town poet laureate, presiding. What should the voters expect, Gwen?
Hi, yes, this is a big warrant this year. It's looking at 97 articles for both annual town meeting and special town meeting combined. And perhaps the most contentious issue on the ballot will be the leaf blowers. This issue was first raised in Edgartown, and while it appears on multiple island towns' warrants, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion regarding this one. There's also a separate petition for this bylaw calling for a total ban on gas leaf blowers starting July 1st.
Yes, I remember last year there was a lot of discussion on the floor, and eventually it was tabled, but we'll see what happens this year because now it's on all the town warrants.
Yep, absolutely. In other big ticket items, the town is asking for $4 million in free cash, so no impact on your taxes, to fund the Robinson Road recreational area behind the Eggertown School. This is a project put on by the Parks Department, and they're hoping to install an office building with bathrooms, some pickleball courts, a trail, and a splash pad, to name a few of the activities. There's also another article proposing $2 million to go towards planning for a new sewer system in the Ocean Heights neighborhood. Right now, that neighborhood uses individual septic tanks, which are contributing to nitrogen runoff in Senjikentaket Pond.
And just want to remind our listeners, you can find all the warrants listed on all the town websites to really sort of research them, and you can find the longer stories on the Gazette website. There are also town elections next week in each of these towns on Thursday. Most of the races are uncontested, but there is a big one coming up in Eggertown.
Yeah, so I guess next week we'll see if the select board of Eggertown is going to change up. There is an open seat, but Michael Donnarumma, who's occupied this seat for the past 7 terms, is also running for re-election. And he's challenged by Alexander Morrison, who is a landscaper on the island and has served on multiple committees, as well as Glenn Searle, a retired firefighter for the Eggertown Department that has also served on many boards.
All right, thank you. And the elections again are Thursday, April 10th. Turning now to Addison Antonoff, who covers Oak Bluffs. The Oak Bluffs town meeting will be held as per usual in the Performing Arts Center at the Regional High School, recently the scene of a lot of films during the film festival. Addison, I read your story, and there's not sort of one singular big ticket item, but what's sort of the journey of the night, you think?
Sure. So the night's going to start off with the special town meeting, which is 9 articles, the majority of which revolve around funding. There is one that would regulate watercraft usage, so think things like jet skis. The Harbor Master, Harbor Advisory Committee, and the Shellfish Department have been working on a new bylaw that proposes some more restrictions with uses of that. Watercraft have become increasingly more popular since COVID, but they can travel at really fast speeds, so they're trying to regulate when and how fast you can use them to keep people safe and also to protect the health of shellfish in Senjikentaket and Lagoon Pond. And then moving on from special town meeting, we've got annual town meeting with 56 articles. The big ticket item at the annual town meeting would be upgrades to the Dukes County Avenue pump station. They're looking for $2.5 million to elevate the station and redo the electrical infrastructure there. About 90% of wastewater in Oak Bluffs travels through that pump station on its way to the treatment facility. The station is also currently in a 100-year flood zone. So based on numbers from FEMA, they're looking to elevate it. And also speaking to Patrick Hickey, who's the facilities manager with the Oak Bluffs Wastewater Department, the electrical infrastructure is reaching the end of its useful life. So there's concerns there in addition to storm concerns. So looking to redo that.
Thanks for that breakdown. Also, I was looking through some of the spending articles, and my eye caught the one for the police department wanting a drone. I really was fascinated by all of the important things a drone could do for a police department. I hadn't thought about that before.
Yes, there's a couple of articles related to spending for new equipment. One of them is for a drone for the police department. The police department currently has someone on staff who is trained to use a drone. And if they get the money for it, they'd be using it for a variety of different things. The main focus, Police Chief Jonathan Searle said, would be for rescue situations. If someone's out on a paddleboard way out in the water, or if someone's gone missing, the drone can be used to find them much more quickly than just manpower. It can do a variety of things. They can use it to deploy flotation devices. There's lights on it that can be used to direct first responders in a crowd if there's a medical event. They can send audio through it saying things like, give me a thumbs up if you're okay, a thumbs down if you need help, things like that. So it would be used in a lot of situations like that. There's also potential uses for it from the fire department in using it to locate the source of big fires. But because the police department has someone on staff who's trained to use it, that's where it would be going.
Great. Thanks for catching us up, Addison.
You can read more on these stories and all the news for free at vineyardgazette.com. And remember to buy the paper to read all the warrants in your town. This weekend, the island honors Wayland Sauer with a memorial 3-on-3 basketball tournament on Sunday. The tournament was started last year by 2 teens as a way to remember their classmate who died in a car accident in 2023. It's also a fundraiser for a scholarship. With April comes restaurant openings. If you live year-round on the island like I do, this is welcome news. State Road in West Tisbury has reopened and will bring back Tuesday Burger Nights beginning April 15th. And now open are Lookout Tavern in Oak Bluffs and La Strada Restaurant on Main Street in Vineyard Haven. Get out there and eat. Last week's paper had an excellent story about an exhibit at the Martha's Vineyard Museum about Reverend Oscar Denniston, who moved to Martha's Vineyard from Jamaica in 1901. He settled in Oak Bluffs and started the first African-American church on the island. Here's an excerpt from a 2004 interview with Dean Denniston, Oscar's son.
Then after Susan Bradley died in 1907, my father, at the same location, founded Bradley Memorial Church. He led that congregation, or that church, for 46 years. It was named the Bradley Memorial Church in honor of Susan Bradley, who founded the Oakland Mission. As far as I know, my father was the first minister of color on Martha's Vineyard.
That audio was recorded by Lindsay Lee of the Martha's Vineyard Museum, and it's part of an oral history interview in the exhibit. Our theme music is from island composer and musician Michael Hayden. If you like the show, please follow us so you won't miss an episode, and let us know what you think by emailing us at podcasts@vineyardgazette.com. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance. Their appliance experts listen to your needs and help you choose the right appliances for your home. Crane Appliance, they call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Myrov. Thanks for listening to On the Vineyard, and join us next week.